Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Solving Life's Problem with Emeka. Recently, I got a call from someone who had watched some of our initial episodes, and he asked me, now that you have outlined the types of problems and the possible ways that people respond to problems, how do we solve the problems? And here we are today with that answer, how we can solve life's problems. Today we're going to look at a couple of steps. Step one is identifying the problem. It's important to acknowledge and define and identify, if you like, the problem that needs to be solved. And this is key. It's important to shine the light on all sides of a particular problem and see all that needs to be seen and understand all that needs to be understood. Know all that needs to be known about the problem before you can take the steps necessary to bring a solution. Some attempts to solve problems have failed in the past because an aspect of the problem is unknown, hidden, opaque, or perhaps ignored by the persons attempting to solve the problem. Someone contacted me recently. He was having a financial problem, which we could trace to some of his personal habits. Unfortunately, these personal habits that had left him with a problem that needed to be solved, until he had a discussion with me, it was unknown to him what was the root cause of his problem. And all the efforts and attempts he had made in the past to solve the problem was in vain. So it is important. And so why is it important to identify and define the problem before you attempt a solution? It will be futile to attempt to solve a problem if you don't have all the facts about the problem. This is exactly why medical doctors will not treat an ailment except proper diagnosis has been made. The reason medical doctors send their patients to diagnostic laboratory and take them through different aspects of diagnosis is to identify exactly what is wrong. If they don't do that, all the efforts, all the attempts they will make to solve the problem is not likely to result in healing for the patient or cure. At best, they will just be trying and there will be no solution. Now I'll give you an example. Homelessness is a problem. When someone is destitute, it's a problem. But you know, homelessness may look like the problem, but homelessness may not be the actual problem. The actual problem may be drug addiction. The actual problem may be unemployment. The actual problem may be a mental health issue. And so if you don't understand that, if you get a home for the homeless person without addressing the situation, it's only a matter of time before the person ends up homeless again. And so if you don't do that, if you don't get to the root of the problem, understand the problem and know what is causing the problem, even if you are able to get a solution or what looks like one, it will only be temporary. It's not going to last, and it's not going to stand the test of time. All life's problems deserve proper diagnosis in order to solve them. Whether it is financial, whether it has to do with marriage, whether it has to do with career, whether it has to do with family, health, whatever it is, it requires proper understanding of the root cause and the things that needs to be done. It's absolutely necessary to do this. Sometimes people don't diagnose their problems rightly. And where this is the case, the solution that will be offered is not likely to be long-lasting. And so you see a lot of persons going through challenges in life. And at some point they think they have found a solution. And after a while it fails. In most cases it's because they have not properly identified and defined the problem so that they can know exactly what to do. So in summary, I want to say that if you have not identified the problems properly, you'll be groping in the dark. I don't know if you've ever been left in a room, especially a room that you are not quite familiar with, and then there's no light. Everywhere will look like a door. You have to grope with your hands on the wall, trying to search where the door is so that you can find your way out. And that's very difficult. Sometimes you are left with injuries. Sometimes you cause some damages to properties inside the house in an attempt to find the entrance. And just shining the light in the room will show you exactly where the door is, and then you can take a walk and exit the room. And that's how it is with life's problem. If you don't know exactly what to do, you'll be groping in the dark like that person in that room. Solution will be hard to come by. Even if you find the solution eventually, it will be at a great cost. If you don't identify the problems properly, you're likely to address the wrong problem. Your solution may be targeted at a wrong problem. I will give you another example. Feverish condition in the human body may be as a result of so many things. And so if someone is feverish, according to the medical science, it may be caused by certain infections in the body. It may be caused by malaria. It may be caused by many other things. And so if there's no proper diagnosis, you may be treating someone for malaria when he's actually having a problem of sepsis or another infection or any other kind of problem that's causing the fever. And so if you begin to treat malaria in this case, what you're doing is that you are addressing the wrong problem. There's fever, right? Yes, but fever is not the problem. You need to find what is causing the fever so that your solution will give you the desired results, or your effort rather will give you the desired solution. If you don't identify your problems properly, you may be applying the wrong solution. Not only is it possible for you to be addressing the wrong solution when you don't know and that you have not identified properly the problem, you actually may be applying the wrong solution. For instance, if someone has fever, as we had talked about earlier, and then you assume that it is malaria and you begin to administer anti-malaria medicine to the person is not likely to get better because the solution you are applying is not for the problem the person is experiencing. The fever may be caused by something else. Meanwhile, you are applying the solution for malaria when the person may not be actually experiencing malaria. If you are not sure of what the problem is, you are likely to be doing trial and error, and that's not helpful. You try, it fails. You try another, it fails. You try another one, it fails. The problems of life sometimes comes with so much discomfort that you don't have the luxury of trying and error. This trial and error comes with a lot of cost. You also discover that when you don't know actually the problem, you're likely to waste time, you're likely to waste energy, you're likely to waste money. You waste resources because you'll be doing things that you didn't need to do. You'll be spending time, energy, money on things that you didn't need to do. And so it's absolutely necessary that in attempting a solution for any problem in life, it's important to understand exactly what the problem is, what is responsible for it. Then your effort at solving the problem will begin to yield the desired result. We'll move on to step 2. What's the next step? You need to identify the possible solutions available to the problem. Sometimes there are more than one solution to the problem. Where there is more than one option, what do you need to do? It is important to identify the best possible option. To this end, you have to consider all possible options, no exception. Because if you want the best solution to your problem, you need to know all that needs to be known, all the available options, and the best possible one for you. Now, in identifying the options and choosing your course of action, it is important that you do not get emotionally attached to a solution. Sometimes in trying to solve life's problem, people settle for options that they are emotionally attached to, which may not be actually the best possible option for them. What that requires is that in solving life's problem, you need to be open-minded. Because what you may think or may like to apply as a solution may not be the best option. So you are just emotionally attached to that particular option or thing you want to do. And then if you continue to go that way, then the result won't be quite good. And so it's important to understand this. Let's take the problem of financial example of financial problem. If someone has a financial problem, there are many options. One option may be to give the person money, and the problem is solved. Another option may be facilitate employment for the person or give the person employment if you can. Another option may be train the person so that the person becomes employable. The person gets new skills. The person is ready to do something else that will earn money, and so on and so forth. But in looking at these options, you should not be emotionally attached to any of them in particular. You should look at what works best. Which one will be the best possible solution? Step 3. Filter the available options and identify the best course of action. When I was young, there was a man selling palm wine near my home. And I had the opportunity to watch some of the things he did in the course of selling the palm wine. And I'll tell you why I'm telling you this story. He was selling local palm wine that is tapped every morning by the palm wine tappers from the village nearby. So these palm wines comes with certain impurities. Sometimes insects that go to sip the palm wine, sometimes debris from the palm as they try to make holes to tap the palm, and so on and so forth. And so, by the time he's selling the palm wine, there are impurities in the palm wine. And so what does he do? He gets a funnel, he puts a filter inside the funnel, and then he pours the palm wine into the funnel. And then the funnel and the filter right in there filters the palm wine, and then he collects a palm wine that is without impurities, and then he can sell to his customers. We're going to adopt that his strategy in filtering the available options in solving life's problem. Let's take the funnel he's using to mean that you need to narrow down your options. You need to narrow down your options, because when your options are too wide, it becomes a struggle to know which option you will settle for. And so as you filter your problems, before you actually do the final filtration, you need to narrow down your possible options. For instance, for a man who is having financial difficulties, if he's not employed, giving him money is not likely to be a good option. So you may have to rule that out. So if you take your funnel, for instance, you're giving the person money shouldn't come into the funnel because it's not likely to yield good results. And so you are left with other options which you put into the funnel. That funnel will now limit the options you are going to consider. Okay, so when you have identified the few possible options, then you pass them through the funnel, through the filter. Okay? You see, the reason why you need a funnel, in essence, why you need to limit the options you need to consider, is because when there are too many options, you get confused and you could end up creating more problems than what you want to solve. Okay? And so, after you have narrowed down your choice, then you filter out. And what are the things that will serve as seed for you? Prayers. For those of us who are quite religious, praying will filter out the things that may not be good for your consideration. Talking to your mentor, professional advice, your hunch, past experiences, intuition, whatever passes this filter commends itself for final consideration and action.